Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, we are out in the greenhouse today. Can you guys believe how big the plants are out here in the greenhouse? You know, we have some harvesting to do today, and we thought we'd bring you guys along. I think, in my opinion, just looking around, this is going to be a pretty epic harvest.
What we're preparing for with this big harvest is that I have a bunch of salsa to make this year. We're completely out of salsa.
Right.
We've been out for a while, so this is the year that I'm growing tomatoes and a lot of peppers so that I can restock our pantry with salsa probably for the next couple of years.
Right. That's typically the way we try to plan things, is so that each year Sarah can concentrate on one thing, especially with tomatoes. Like this year's a salsa year. Next year will be a pasta sauce year again. You know, and it'll be like that so we can grow the complementary plants that go along with those things in the right quantities each year.
Right. So I have a big weekend planned, and several days in a row probably, for salsa. Once I have all of that canned, then I can concentrate on, well, what can I just supplement the pantry with? What other things could I make? We have a ton of tomatoes, a ton of peppers ready to be harvested, but I do want to let you know that about a week ago, we did a giant tomato harvest.
Right.
The first harvest of tomatoes in the greenhouse for the year. They were ready to be picked even though I wasn't ready to make salsa, and actually it was right before I left on a road trip to go visit my parents. So we put all of those in the refrigerator, some of them in the freezer, so I'll be able to take those out too. But today, you'll be surprised, I think, how many more in just 1 week are ready to be harvested.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable how the tomatoes are doing here in the greenhouse. So first, let's take a little walk around. We'll kind of look at everything, and then we need to get busy because it's going to be quite a harvest. All right, we're going to go real quickly through the greenhouse. I don't want to take up a lot of your time because I know Sarah has done several videos recently where you guys have been out here in the greenhouse with her, but there's some things I want to concentrate on. First of all, our basil here at the front. Look, Sarah harvested a ton of basil about 2 weeks ago, and you know, it's been super hot out, and basil loves the heat, so look how great that is doing. Now, we're not going to be harvesting any of that today because we just don't need it right now, so we're just going to let that keep growing. I did want to stop at the tomberries and show you these. These are one of the tomatoes that I was growing this year as an experiment that were supposed to be the world's smallest tomato. I don't think they ended up being a true variety. I bought seeds on Etsy, and I just think whoever sold me the seeds, probably not on purpose, but whatever they sent me wasn't what it was supposed to be. So I've left the plants here. I showed you guys early on that they were getting some disease. I really think it was a magnesium deficiency, so I did treat the plants for that. The new leaves up top are looking fine. And, you know, even though these aren't the tomatoes that we thought they were going to end up being, I mean, most of them are more, I don't know, like this size here. They're actually, when they get really ripe, they're actually a pretty tasty little tomato. So I don't know what they are, but I've left them in here because they are a good quick snack when I'm out here. All right, we're going to go even faster through the rest, I promise. So we've got all of our Juliets and large red cherries here. There are a ton of these to harvest today, which is good because my bowl of cherry tomatoes in the house is just about empty and I need more in there. So we're going to be harvesting all of those today. We've got our paste tomatoes here. Looks like we lost a branch. We had a really big storm come through a couple nights ago. Lots of people in our area without power. We lost quite a few big branches off of trees. And it came up so fast that we didn't get out here right away to shut the sides of the greenhouse. Luckily, I was able to get out here after just a couple minutes. But it did do some damage here in the greenhouse. So luckily, most things are doing just fine, but we did lose some branches on some of the tomatoes like this, and we did lose a few branches on peppers, but all in all, not enough to make a big difference. So these are all the paste tomatoes. We'll be picking all of those today. And then we're into our Jet Stars, our slicing tomatoes. You guys, the Jet Stars here in the greenhouse are unbelievable. We've never had Jet Star tomatoes grow the way they're growing here in the greenhouse. Look at this. I'm going to pick this one because it's going to need to be picked today anyway. Look at that tomato. That's got to be a 1.5 pound, 2 pound tomato. I mean, that's unbelievable. We've just never had our tomatoes do this well, and I really think it's because we're here in the greenhouse where we can control things a lot more. Okay, we're back here. This is what I wanted to show you guys, the second of my experiments, which was the giant Domingos. I'll be honest, guys, they're not doing the greatest. The plants themselves are really struggling. The tomatoes are all splitting open. But we do have some pretty amazing sized tomatoes on there. Look at this one here. I might end up picking that one today. But look at that. I mean, they're crazy tomatoes. All right, but so we'll just see what they do. I didn't go into that experiment thinking those were going to be great eaters. I just wanted to do it because I wanted to see a humongous tomato. All right, we've got a few random peppers back here that didn't sell at the farmer's market. Zucchini, which we're actually going to do a final harvest of today, and then we're going to be pulling those because they're just, the plants are getting old now. We can do a second planting of them soon. So we're just going to get rid of those today. We're starting to get a lot of squash bugs. Okra, which is doing pretty good. The Japanese beetles are starting to get on them. Looks like I've missed some. Haven't been out here for a few days. But the okra are doing pretty well. This is a dwarf variety that we're trying this year in the tubs. Our cucumbers, which are also kind of getting to the end of their life. We do have more cucumbers out in the garden, but these are kind of getting to the end of their life. Green beans are pretty much done for the year. And then from here on out are all the different peppers that we're growing this year. Spicy peppers, sweet peppers, bell peppers, you name it, we pretty much have them growing in here. So that's kind of the overview of the greenhouse. Today we're going to be picking pretty much a little bit of everything, but we're going to be concentrating on the tomatoes and peppers because that's what Sarah's going to need the most of for her salsas.
Now Kevin and I are going to work at the same time. We're kind of dividing and conquering. We're going to start with the cherry tomatoes. Now in the past we have shown you just how tall these tomato plants are getting. A lot of them are all the way up past the purlins. And we got a question recently, either email or on one of our videos about, you know, if the plants are growing as tall as the top of the greenhouse, do the tomatoes continue to grow up that high? And if so, do we need a ladder to harvest? And the answer to all those questions is yes. They do continue to grow up high, and by the time they get up there, we need a ladder to harvest them. And that's actually what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be harvesting the tomatoes that are low enough to the ground that I can reach them without a ladder, and at the same time Kevin will be using the ladder to harvest what is too high. So we're just going to work together and get all this harvesting done.
All right, here's what we got for cherry tomatoes. It's probably a day's worth for me snacking on, don't you think? I'd say I can handle these. Now, I did want to say one quick thing. And sometimes I can't believe I need to address some of these things, but we're going to. We get these boxes from friends, people at church that go to like produce auctions. Sometimes we get them from one of our local grocery stores. But we've had people online accuse us of not actually growing our own stuff because when they see us, we have them in boxes and they're like, well, you just bought that. I see those boxes at the store. We just save these boxes or recycle them from other places so that we can use them because they're super handy to have. So you just saw us picking and now you see the tomatoes in the box. I promise you, we actually grew these. And I'm actually going to eat them too. All right, we need to move on to other things.
We're moving on to the next section of tomatoes that has paste tomatoes. Now, paste tomatoes are a tomato that aren't as juicy like a slicing tomato. A slicing tomato you would grow to put on sandwiches, to make tomato juice, or diced tomatoes, whole tomatoes that you would can. But paste tomatoes you would use for pasta sauce, ketchup. I am going to use some to make salsa, so it's not so watery when I make the salsa. We are using two different varieties of paste tomatoes this year. One is called Salvatierra Select, which has been my favorite, and the other one is Amish paste. And I say it that way because we have been resisting trying Amish paste again, because one year, about 5 years ago, we tried it and it was a huge disaster. We thought it was a variety issue, but you guys, I'm so glad that you all have convinced us to try them again, because they're humongous and they're doing fantastically. Look, oh, that one came off because it's so ripe. Look at the size of this Amish paste tomato. Now, I do have some Salvatierra Select that are almost this size, but this is a fantastic size for paste tomato. Most paste tomatoes are small, like the Roma ones that you get at the grocery store, but these are so amazing, and they're very productive. We've got lots of them growing, so we're really excited to look at even here, these green ones that are up at the top here. Oh my gosh, they're huge and they're fantastic. So we're so excited to be growing those. Let me show you while I'm out here some of the Salvatierra Select, so you can get an idea. These are also a really good size tomato here for a paste tomato. And that's why I've always grown the Salvatierra Select, but these Amish paste, man, they're even bigger. Okay, so let's get harvesting these guys. They've been very productive. We have a lot to harvest. We're gonna put them in our baskets and our boxes so that we can take them in the house to make salsa this weekend. Now, I do want to share that when I pick tomatoes, I try to take the stem off of every single one of them so that it won't poke and damage a neighboring tomato when I put it in the box or the basket. And I also store them like on their shoulders, so upside down, so that there's a less likelihood that they can get bruised. So that's what I do. Take the stem off and store it on its shoulders.
Well, I harvested that biggest of the giant Domingos. Look at that, you guys. Now, it does have some cracking, and it's not a real pretty tomato, but I don't know. I'll have to weigh it when we take it in the house, but that is a big tomato. We're all finished with the tomatoes. You guys, look at all the tomatoes. We still have probably about this many that we harvested last week.
Oh, at least. I think there might be more that I harvested last week.
Yeah, so it's going to be quite a salsa making weekend. But we've decided that we're going to wait and pick the other half of the greenhouse early tomorrow morning, because you guys, it is about 98 degrees out right now, and it is so humid. We're just about dying in the greenhouse.
Yeah, so it's so humid right now that like the air is thick.
Right.
And we're just pouring in sweat. I think that tomorrow morning might be a little bit more enjoyable harvesting the rest of the greenhouse.
Right. So we're done for the evening tonight. We'll see you guys first thing in the morning when we're ready to start picking all the peppers, zucchini, and cucumbers. Well, good morning, you guys. We're back out in the greenhouse. It is the next morning. Not as early as we had expected, because believe it or not, we got rain this morning. When we looked at the forecast last night, there was 0% chance of rain today. We got up this morning and by 6 a.m. it was starting to rain. It's almost 10 o'clock now and it's still raining. But it does look like it's going to be moving out shortly. It's already slowed down a lot, so we figured we'd get out here and start harvesting.
And normally harvesting out here in the greenhouse in the rain is really nice. It's actually a beautiful morning, but because of the sound and we're recording, we wanted to wait until it wasn't raining as hard so that you guys can enjoy this experience with us. So we have quite a few things to harvest this morning. We are going to be starting off harvesting sweet peppers. We have several varieties that are ready to be harvested, so we're going to get started on those, and when we're done, we'll show you everything we got.
Well, here's what we ended up with for the sweet peppers. Here in this box, these are Sarah's absolute favorite red roasting peppers. She's told you guys about these a lot, called Ajvarskis. Look at those gorgeous peppers. I mean, look at the size of these, you guys. Just amazing.
Now we're picking them not 100% red so that I have them in the house when I need them for salsa. I'm also going to let some of them go completely red so that I can roast them and use them in the recipes that I like to use over the winter, whether I freeze them or freeze dry them. I just want to have these in the house.
And there are a million more on the plants that just haven't turned red yet. These are just what were red today.
Right, and the other things that we have, these smaller red peppers, these are called lipstick peppers. We actually thought these were going to be much smaller. We thought they'd be the size of a jalapeno and that we could use them as a snacking pepper. They're much larger, but you guys, they're so prolific. This whole basket
and they're good.
right
I
here,
have eaten quite a few of them.
This whole basket is just filled to the bottom with them. We didn't have many bell peppers to pick this time because we've been really harvesting these over the last month or so as I need them for my cooking in the kitchen. And then this entire half on this side are the jalapenos. And we've talked with you guys about these for years. They're a jalapeno that tastes exactly like a jalapeno, except they're not spicy at all.
Right, no spice at all.
So,
and those we get, these seeds we get every year from Baker Creek. We can save seed from them as well because they're an heirloom.
As well as Ajvarski.
Right. So these are all great sweet peppers. We really enjoy raising them. All right, now we're going to move on to all of the spicy peppers. We've got 3 varieties of spicy peppers that we're growing this year. Jalapenos, Sugar Rush Peach, and a Peruvian ají arnaucho.
Arnaucho.
So those are not a pepper you can just eat. Those are peppers that we're going to be using to spice up the salsa. All right, we're going to get on to picking those. We'll show you when we're done. All right, we're all done picking the spicy peppers. We've got a pretty good basket full here. Here's what we ended up with. Jalapenos, some nice big jalapenos. These are the Craig's Grande jalapenos from Baker Creek. We really like those. We also have these, which are the Sugar Rush Peach. This is the first year we're growing these, but you guys, these are so prolific. And then just 2 of these little Peruvian spicy peppers. There's a ton of them on the plants, but only 2 that were turning red so far. Those were seeds that the original owner of this property, his grandson, gave us those seeds. His wife is from Peru, and he brought those seeds back from Peru and asked if we would try growing them here in the greenhouse, and they are doing fantastic. Now, to give you guys a little reference on some of these peppers, so jalapeno pepper is about 2,500 to 8,000 what they call Scoville heat units. So about 8,000 at the spiciest. These Sugar Rush Peach and the Ahis, the Sugar Rush Peach are range from 50,000 to 100,000. So about 25 times hotter than a jalapeno. And these Ahis, these range about 30 to 50,000. So, you know, anywhere from 10 to 15 times hotter than a jalapeno. So these will really spice up the salsas that Sarah's making. I'm excited because I love spicy salsa.
Moving on in this row, we have the green beans here. They're actually pretty much done. We are letting the beans that are on there just stay on there so we can collect them for seed. We do have time after they're done to take them out and replant if we want to, but we haven't made that decision yet. You know, green beans, even in the garden, are one of the first things to produce, so they're one of the first things to end also. So really, this is just natural life cycle for them. And just a reminder for you guys, we were able to plant this greenhouse about 6 weeks earlier than we would plant anything outside in the ground. So the life cycle of these plants is going to get to the end before we feel like it's fall, before the things out in the garden are going to get to the end of their life cycle. Now, so we're really skipping the green beans today. We are going to harvest some cucumbers. The cucumber plants are kind of at the end of their life too, but we are not ready to give up on them because they still are producing small cucumbers. So they might look a little sad, but we're going to harvest the cucumbers, and we have a lot of them to rely on also out in the garden. But today we're just picking what's here.
One thing with these big cucumbers, they're way too seedy to really be a good cucumber to eat, but my quail absolutely love these big cucumbers. I cut them in half and I lay them in their cages, and they just love those seeds. Well, it didn't look like there were many cucumbers on the plants at all, but we ended up with a full basket of cucumbers. So, hey, I'll never complain about that.
Well, on to the okra, this dwarf okra variety. We've kind of forgotten about the okra for the last week or so, and so some of these are too big. Those that are too big to eat, we'll give them to the pigs, and those that are not, we'll eat. Now, see, this one you can't bend at all. Those need to go to the pigs. But those that are bendy, we will keep for eating. That might be a little long, but it's still bendy. We can eat that. So most of what we found were just too big to eat. They'll go to the pigs. We did have about a handful of them that are worth eating, and honestly, they're not even going to make it into the house. Kevin just loves to eat raw okra right off the plant, so I'm sure he's just going to eat these before we get into the house. So next up are the zucchini. Like we told you at the beginning of the video, we've got some squash bugs on these zucchini, so we're going to do a final harvest on them, and then another day we're just going to pull all the plants, decide whether or not we're going to replant. We do have time yet to do at least one more planting of zucchini before fall.
Yeah, there are suddenly a million squash bugs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this one's not good either. Well, it wasn't a huge quantity of zucchini, but the ones that were ready to harvest are gigantic. So I have 4 in my basket today. A couple of them were too hard and old, so they'll go to the pigs. Now, I just want to let you know that, I only have about 5 plants here, 5 buckets, and even though it's the end of their season, they're kind of done and overrun with bugs, I probably harvested 40 zucchini from these plants already this summer, early summer, late spring. So I'm very pleased with that. We've eaten a lot of them. I did a video on how to preserve them. I had about 14 or 15 of them that were backing up I needed to preserve. So I'm very pleased with the harvest from the zucchini. I do want to do another round of them. So as soon as we can get these plants pulled out of here, we're going to plant seed again for another round.
Well, here is the final harvest. Can you guys believe how amazing all of this looks? I don't know if I'm more impressed this year with how the tomatoes are doing in the greenhouse or the peppers, because both of them are just doing awesome.
This is such a fantastic harvest, and to really think that I've already done a tomato harvest at least this big, if not bigger, honestly.
Right.
This greenhouse is really working out well for us. It has by far outproduced anything that we have grown in there before this year, because this year we really expanded.
Right.
Last year we were just kind of testing out to see what would grow in the greenhouse. This year we decided to do some serious growing, and it has really paid off for us.
I remember when we got our very first greenhouse from Grower Solution at our other homestead, thinking to myself, that greenhouses are great for like plant starts in the spring and stuff, but I don't think I'll ever really enjoy growing our vegetables and stuff inside of the greenhouse. You guys, I was completely wrong. Yeah, if it were up to me these days, we would only be growing in the greenhouse, because it is just, you're just able to control things so much more. You can control your soil better. You can control the amount of wind by putting the sides up and down. You can control the amount of moisture. It's just, you just have a lot more control over how things go. And I think, with the shade cloth up, I think that's what's making the difference these last 2 years, is this intense sun that we've been getting outside the last couple of years is blocked out by that shade cloth in the greenhouse, and it allows these vegetables to grow bigger without splitting, without getting the sun damage, and it just makes for a better crop.
So we are excited about what the future plantings in the greenhouse have in store for us. Every year we're going to try something new, a little bit more, kind of push the limits here and there. It will be an exciting adventure.
We do get a lot of questions about the greenhouse. You guys, if you want to learn more, check out Grower Solutions website. That's where you can look at all the different greenhouses that they offer, all the way from a big one like this down to smaller ones if you just have a smaller backyard. They have a ton of great stuff. And if you look in our description, we do have a coupon code for 10% off, which can really add up on something like a greenhouse. Hey, if you're enjoying our videos, we sure hope that you'll hit that subscribe button before you leave. Don't forget, as always, the absolute best way that you can help us is just by sharing our videos so that other people may enjoy them as well. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.